My name's Patriot Smoothie. Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you about a Roman candle that I think is going to reignite the Conservative Party. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Roman Baber. He's amazing. He stood up for all of us when nobody else would. He's truly a brave person, and that's the kind of people we need running this country. That's the kind of people we need in office. I'm also going to talk about some other stuff. PSAC, yes, PSAC. We've talked about them so much. I'm kind of getting tired of it. They reached a deal with the Treasury Board. Apparently. Some of them not very happy about it. We're going to cover the PSAC deal. Most of them are off the picket line as of today. They're back at work except for the CRA. We're going to cover all of that. If you're new here, consider subscribing or following me on Facebook, wherever you're watching this from, because we don't know what's going to happen going forward with Bill C-11. We don't know what kind of censorship the government is going to impose on all of us. So if you want to stay in the loop, you want the real news, and you like my opinions, consider sticking around. Subscribe, follow, whatever you want to do. Let's get right into it. As I mentioned, Roman the Candle Baber, and that's just my nickname for him, I'm sure it's not going to catch on, is running to be an MP in York Centre for the Conservative Party. He was previously an MPP for Doug Ford. He was kicked out of the party. We're going to go over a brief history there. But before we get into it, let's take a look at this. And oh my goodness, that's a frightening image. I'm sorry to bring that up. That should have like a disclaimer on it. Scary stuff, but it's very, look at this. Poor Hugh Jackman, ambushed by Trudeau there. He's like, who is this guy? He's pointing back at him like, security, do you see this guy? Please get him out of here. This is going to be meme material for years to come. Let's get into the story. Roman Baber, announcement. I'm seeking the Conservative nomination for the riding of York Centre. That's great. Life is unaffordable and Canada's democracy is at risk. I also got to know Pierre Poilievre. He is smart, kind, and will make a great PM. And I actually believe Pierre will make a pretty good PM. He just has to get that backbone and he just has to stand up a little bit more. But I think with Roman Baber in the party, he could really make a good difference. Not everybody, however, is happy that Roman Baber is running for Conservative Party MP, least of all the Liberals and the NDP. They are absolutely terrified of this guy, but also some people on the right are upset that he's deciding to run for the Conservatives instead of the PPC. Joe Blow took to Twitter to say, I respect you. You push back against the lockdowns and mandates when very few would, but your talent and courage is wasted in the Conservative Party swamp, where you will have to vote like the rest of the establishment swamp creatures in the party. Should have joined the PPC. But that's the thing. The PPC, I'm sorry, I love Maxime Bernier, but I seriously doubt that the PPC will ever form a government in Canada. I'd rather Roman Baber and other people like him go to work where they can actually get elected and form a government, join a government, and use their influence for good to actually make policy changes in our country. And I think Roman Baber has the ear of Pierre Poilievre, and I think he has the bravery and the courage to push the party closer to where it needs to go. Now, he's not going to be a magic solution. He's not a magic fix, but he's going to make things better. I truly believe that. And he's going to do that as a Conservative Party MP. But again, it's not just on him. Pierre Poilievre, everybody, they have to stand up and they have to start defending conservative values and start defending and standing up for everyday Canadians who are being railroaded by the Liberal government. Now, the proof is in the pudding and we'll have to see what happens. But with Roman Baber on the team, I'm seeing good things here. I'm seeing hope. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Why do you disagree with me? Why do you agree with me? Let me know. As you probably know, Roman Baber was a Conservative Party leadership candidate in the 2022 leadership election, which he finished second last, and Pierre Poilievre won that. But obviously Pierre Poilievre saw something in him, his authenticity, his popularity, his bravery, and wants him to become an MP in the Conservative Party. And who knows, maybe he'll even have a role in the government, in cabinet, if he can win that seat. And I think that he can do it. Roman Baber was born in the USSR, so he truly understands what's happening here with the degradation of our rights and freedoms, and he understands why it's so dangerous. In an upset, Baber beat former Finance Minister Joe Oliver, who was the Finance Minister for like a year under the Conservatives, for the Progressive Conservative nomination in the York Centre riding. He won the seat as Doug Ford came to power and as support for the Ontario Liberals, who had held the riding for decades, totally collapsed. So then he was eventually in 2021 kicked out of the party for speaking out against the policies that the Doug Ford government had made, also for speaking out in favor of more autism support. In fact, that was one of his major platforms as the leadership candidate. Here's a quick excerpt about that from the National Post. CPC leadership candidate Roman Baber promises a transformational national autism plan. As Prime Minister, Conservative Party of Canada leadership candidate Roman Baber promises to match provincial funding of autism treatment of up to $500 million per year, a move he said would encourage local jurisdictions to get their act together and reduce growing waitlists. So he's always been on the side of the little guy. I think his wife is involved in autism treatments in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. So he ran as an MPP and upset the local local Liberal incumbent. I totally believe he has all the power and opportunity, and he's going to win when he runs as an MP in York Centre on the federal level. This guy has the popularity, he has the upset history, and he has the platform to win. And we need him to win so that he can do good work in the Conservative Party and so that he could do good work in the Parliament of Canada. Going back in time a little bit to February 2022, just a few months before Roman Baber would lose his seat as an MPP because he never sought re-election. He was ejected from the Conservative caucus in 2021. Here's him speaking to Canadians as an independent MPP in the Ontario legislature. Let's listen.
The government should extricate itself from our lives and leave us alone.
Absolutely true. There's a lot of good stuff in this speech that unfortunately I can't play for different reasons. But what you need to understand is he's speaking up for the little guy. He's taking a very unpopular position, a position that cost him his position in the Conservative Party in Ontario, got him kicked out by Doug Ford. But here he is staying true to his principles and speaking up for all of us. And that's the kind of person who we need to elect into office. You might also briefly remember a few months ago, there was a lot of talk about banning gas stoves. Roman Baber himself actually posted a picture with his gas stove saying that he likes to eat red meat and that the government should leave us all alone on this. Well, as it turns out, New York State will be moving to ban gas stoves. And here's Roman Baber. I thought this was just a conspiracy theory, as New York poised to be first state to ban gas stoves in new buildings. A lot of people at the time said that Roman Baber was taking things too far, that he was being hyperbolic, that nobody was going to ban gas stoves. Well, they're banning gas stoves. So this guy's got his finger on the pulse of what's happening, and what he says tends to come true. The final question I think I have with Roman Baber becoming a member of the Conservative Party is, can Pierre Poilievre and him put the past behind them and move forward to work on the issues that we need to address together? And I think absolutely he can. Take a look at this clip he posted from the end of March where Pierre Poilievre was speaking in question period.
And as for the definition of woke, woke has one purpose, only one purpose. Plenty of pretexts, but only one purpose: control.
Absolutely. It's all about control. It's all about silencing language. It's all, once you start censoring your language, you start censoring your thinking, and then you stop opposing them. That's all it's about.
To divide people.
When people are divided, you think of everything in tribal senses. Like, it's all about me versus them. It's not us. It's me versus them. The in-group versus the out-group. And when everyone's fighting each other, they don't have the time or energy or care to look at what everybody else is doing. They don't have the energy to pay attention to what the government is doing to them. And that's exactly what they want. That's how Trudeau wins, by the politics of division.
And any other way that they can divide people into groups, because why? Then you can justify having a government to control all those groups. No more woke, we need freedom.
No more woke, we need freedom. Truer words have never been spoken. All right, changing gears a little bit now to PSAC. Yes, we talked a lot about them. They were on strike, but now they're off strike. Apparently, they've reached a deal with the government. PSAC has reached a tentative agreement for the PA, SVTC, and EB bargaining units at Treasury Board. Members in the PA, SVTC, and EB bargaining groups are required to return to work for their next scheduled shift beginning May 1st at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Read more. So they got the deal, but did they get what they want? I don't think so. Here's my explanation from it earlier today. PSAC has agreed to a 12% raise over 4 years instead of the 4.5% per year for 3 years they were demanding. So they get a 12% raise over 4 years instead of the 13.5% over 3 years that they wanted. So already they've taken a pretty big step back there, and the working from home stuff isn't exactly what they want either. PSAC has also agreed that remote work shall continue to be at the discretion of the employer, and a lot of people are very unhappy about it. Remote work is one of the biggest reasons many voted for the strike, and no word yet on the $3 million per year social justice fund. That's what I really care about. Did they get that? They wanted the government to pay 1 cent for every hour worked towards their social justice fund, which they would use to host more counter protests and political movements and stuff like that, which is totally unacceptable. The CRA remains on strike as of right now, but on the plus side, I don't think they'll be taking any bridges anytime soon. Here's a clip from a couple days ago. Absolutely ridiculous. I think I say it best.
Mic check. We're going to hold here.
We're going to hold here. We're going to hold here. And they just repeat whatever they're told. It doesn't matter. They'll just repeat it anyways. I need to go to the washroom. I need to go to the washroom. So Ottawa people can look forward to not having to deal with that anymore. And I think bylaw is going to miss ticketing those rogue hot dog stands that pop up in front of the Prime Minister's office, but they'll probably find something else to do eventually. All right, let's take a quick moment to dive into the tentative agreement and see if it's what the workers wanted. What is the remote work agreement? Under the tentative agreement, managers will be required to assess remote work requests on an individual case-by-case basis, not by group, and then provide written responses. Okay, I'm not going to read any more than that, but basically what this is I heard that managers will be able to respond to requests to work from home with a blanket statement like, you are mandated to come to work 3 days a week per the Treasury Board directive. This is also not part of the collective bargaining agreement, so that the union cannot make grievances based on work from home complaints. So did PSAC score a major victory for working from home? I don't think so. Did they set a precedent for how these things are managed going forward? I don't think so. What do the employees actually think? Well, let's take a look. Kay Murrells says, this meets my zero expectations. Pigeons on Your Balcony says, this adds up to about a 2% pay cut per year. That's just considering what the government counts as inflation and not the actual change in buying power, since that would be a lot harsher. Well, the vast majority of employees across Canada in the private sector deal with far less rosy raises. They don't get these great deals and all this benefits and all that other stuff. They have to work with what they get. So now the public service is being brought more aligned with what everybody else with comparable skills and experience and education are getting. The workers don't seem very confident in the deal that they got from PSAC. They don't seem too happy. And again, with the working from home stuff, it's not solid. It's not in the collective bargaining agreement. They can't make grievances, and managers can just write, you have to come to work because Treasury Board says so. So no big wins here, no big victories anywhere to be seen. All I can really say is I have a lot of hope in Roman Baber going forward. I'm sure he's going to win his riding as an MP and be an instrumental part of the Conservative Party. And I'm sorry that PSAC didn't get those workers a great deal, but now they have to experience the actual effects of Trudeau. They're not shielded from his bad policies. So maybe they'll decide to vote wiser next time.